Net neutrality. That's what we're talking about right now. And I'll tell you what, I've spent the better part of the day trying to research this stuff. And I'm torn. I have no idea where I stand on this. Because part of me is like, well, you're an anarchist and government is bad. Governing anything is bad. Free markets are good. Yet, at the same time, we don't have a free market. And so opening up telecommunications, or rather the internet, to these corporations, which part of my stance is that if you're a corporation, you shouldn't exist, because incorporating is not a free market practice. It's very much a state capitalism practice, not a free market capitalism practice. So I don't really like that at all. But I also don't like more regulations. So let's see if I can maybe break this down a little bit. So net neutrality began about 2 years ago. Didn't exist before then at all. So mind you, it wasn't really needed in the first place. Now, you might hear other videos talking about, well, these corporations have done terrible things. Well, a lot of the things that they cite have to do with cell phones, not with your home internet. Does that mean it doesn't apply? Does it mean that they wouldn't try it? I don't know. They don't know either. By they, I mean the people who make the videos saying, well, look at what they did with cell phones. They don't know they're ever going to try this with home internet. A cell phone seems to be a little bit easier because, well, for one, it's less needed than a home internet connection. What I mean by that is, first off, you got to remember they're trying to label the internet as a utility. It's not a utility. It's not. Water's a utility. You'll die without water, right? Electricity's a utility because, well, let's face it, if you don't have electricity, it's a lot harder to live. You can do it, but you're more like a mountain man if you can pull it off, right? Or you're one of those people who figured out how to live off the grid. It takes some talent to achieve that, and some perseverance. Not all of us have that. Now, as for can you live without internet? I'm sorry, you don't need any perseverance to survive without internet. All you need is food and water and clothing. You can pull it off. It's not a utility. And if you think it's a utility, you're a spoiled brat. Okay? Jesus. Learn some responsibility. I need it. How am I going to... Whatever's going to follow, how can I, after that? I don't care, and you are supposed to be dead because you're one of the weak ones. Right? Okay, that's harsh, I know. Anyways, moving on. So, the laws that were in place before net neutrality 2 years ago were similar to net neutrality. It's just that the net wasn't deemed, what's it called? Title II. It wasn't deemed Title II, which makes it a utility. So because it wasn't a utility, the FCC didn't really have a jurisdiction to make any kind of rulings about how they went about their business, which in my opinion is good. Anytime you can keep the FCC out of something, it's good. The FCC isn't good. Well, you've got to censor some things. What about the children? The parents should be concerned about the children, and that's about as far as it goes. But what if the parents don't care, and then the children see things and they hear F words? Really? I mean, I heard F words as a kid. I'm not saying I'm an ideal citizen. I'm just saying it didn't turn me into a serial killer. It's just words. Honestly, what's the point of the FCC these days? What is the point? We've got transgender people trying to convince minors that they should be transgender. And they don't even know what sex is. So, really, we're concerned about, he might say the worst word for duty. You know, the bad one for the word duty. Or he might say what a female dog is, but the technical term. Ooh, it could harm children. How? They say this stuff anyways behind your back. Ugh. The fact that we're here at this point is, it's sad. I mean, the fact that we have an FCC, we don't need one. Net neutrality, well, we've got to make sure everything's equal. Well, I'm sorry, but nothing's equal. Nothing is equal. That's what I don't get about this. Everything has to be equal. Has to be equal that, whatever Netflix is sending has to be equal to, my grandma's Etsy store. Okay, but those are not equal things. They have nothing in comparison to each other, and the importance of the two, or rather the desirability of the two, is not even close. So, why? Why? Well, for fairness. Oh, because you think that grandma's Etsy store is, what, going to take off one of these days? Okay, that's great if it does. I don't get your argument. Well, it should be fair. Fair, fair, fair. That's what everybody says. Fairness. Well, you know what? You know what's fair? Competition and winning. Winning over your competition is fair. Doing something that other people desire more than your competition will provide is fair. That is fair. It's like this. You're at a sporting event, and you perform better than your opponent and you win. That's fair. What you're saying with net neutrality and all this stuff, like everything has to be equal, force everything to be basically slowed down so that it all works at the same level, is like saying, well, you have to perform slower. It's like a handicap in a sport. Why would you want that when you want to watch the professionals do what they do? Instead of being like, all right, we got to force the professionals to slow down because some people aren't that fast. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Now, I've heard the concerns, well, they're going to make packages like they do with cable. Okay, but net neutrality is 2 years old. So they didn't do the package thing you're talking about 3 years ago. What are you talking about? They're going to make it so you got to pay for a package. You got to buy the entertainment package for Twitter and Facebook and blah, blah, blah. They didn't do that 3 years ago when they had the opportunity. What are you talking about? Now they will do that? Let's go practical on this. So you're telling me you think that the internet service providers are going to say, you can't access these websites, period, without paying us $35.99 to get access to Twitter and Facebook and whatever. Okay. I mean, that would be shooting yourself in the foot. What about the people who can't afford that? Screw them, right? Screw them. Okay, you've just shut down a lot of your consumer base. So if you're not giving them access to the things that they wanted access to because they didn't buy the package, they're not interested in your service anymore. This is a terrible business model. Now, if you're thinking, they don't care because they're just going to force you to do it. They want to make money, but they don't want to lose customers. Like, what you're saying is people who already buy internet from these people will not be able to afford internet anymore because the things they did on the internet are now extra. So they're going to go, I can't afford it now. I'm going to stop buying it. Do you think that's in the internet service provider's best interest? It's not. Do you know who they will charge to cover this whole fast lane business? They'll charge the websites, the service providers, not the service provider. I'm sorry. They'll charge the content providers, which makes sense because, let's face it, if you're Facebook and you're billions and billions of dollars that you have, you don't think you can afford to pay a little bit more so that Facebook is faster than the rest of the internet? Google, again, billions and billions and billions of dollars, and you think, who's this hurting? I don't understand your qualms here. Who is hurting from not having net neutrality? They're not going to charge the individual. It doesn't make sense. You don't have the kind of money that Google and Facebook and Twitter and all these people have. They have all the money. So why would you charge the consumer? Because you're going to piss them off and lose a customer, versus the content provider, who they don't have a choice. So they don't have a choice. If they want it to be faster, they're going to have to pay. Is this bad? How is this bad? I don't see the bad here. First off, I hate Facebook, I hate Twitter, I hate all of this shit. It's garbage. So if they have to pay more just for these idiots in this country to stare at it more, fine. Why should I give a flying... Why should I care? I don't see why I should care that, Facebook billionaires need to pay a little bit. What are they going to pay? Tops $1 million a year? Really? So I don't know. A couple million? They're billionaires. This is air to them. And I'm not saying like it doesn't matter because they have all the money in the world. Because what about the small mom and pop stores? They don't have that money. Well, they don't, but my point is this, right? So if the idea is that Facebook has to pump out more money, or other websites have to pump out more money, so that the big internet service providers will speed that up, guess what it opens up the door to? That would be competition from other internet providers who don't put a limit on those services. And in fact, automatically let them be in the fast lane. So the possibility of competition stepping in and overtaking assholes like Comcast and Time Warner, etc., is now very feasible. That is a doable thing, whereas with net neutrality, it's not. So, do I know where this is going to go? No. Do you? No. Do all the people making videos about this know where it's going to go? No. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I do know that Before net neutrality, they didn't do the things that everyone's claiming is about to happen. So this is hype and hysteria. Stupid. Now, at the same time, conservatives who, like Ben Shapiro and Milo Yiannopoulos and those folks who are making it out to be like, hey, it's not that big a deal. I mean, they're partially telling the truth. Part of what they're saying is not true. And as an anarchist, I just go, why do we have an FCC? I don't even want a government, let alone people saying what you can and can't say. In all places on the internet? Why are we regulating the internet? Why? The internet should be akin to the golden age of piracy in the Caribbean. It's all fair game if you want to swim in these waters. There's already things that are illegal. We already have laws about the things that are illegal to put on the internet. We don't need more laws. So I say, abolish the FCC. Who cares about net neutrality when we shouldn't even have the FCC, let alone a government? Prove me wrong.